Hello, Internet. I'm back again, and I am today going to be looking at building my voltage-controlled amplifier. If you're interested in seeing this, please tag along, and we can work on this together. This is the board, and this is the schematic. This is the plan by YuSynth, YuSynth.net. If you want to play along at home and go through this, it's YuSynth.net. He lists a whole bunch of Moog style 1970s synthesizer boards that he offers us to make, just make on our own, using fairly available electronic components. Some of them are hard to get. This 2SC1503 here was tricky to find, but I found it on Amazon. And I got it right here. I got two of them, so that should be fun. And this is the board I have, and like I mentioned in one of my other videos, these trim pots are not correct. They're actually they're not really right. These are one single turn pots. The ones I have got as replacements are supposed to be 10 turn pots. So this is a 1K, which would go right here. This is the 100K, which I have in the bag over here, and we will start with that. But before I begin, I do want to point out that I got this in the mail, so at some point we will be fixing another one of these together. This one came all the way from Morocco, and it is dead. The body's in good shape, everything looks okay. There's a scratch there, a pretty good chunk there. But it won't return on, it won't respond. So first we'll try replacing the battery. At some point we'll fix this. Maybe next week we'll fix this. It's for Christmas for my son. I got two more on the way for my other sons. And I might be able to get one for my wife. And then we'll all be a family of iPods. Pod people. We will be a bunch of pod people. And so that repair might be next week. And yeah, that will be enjoyable. I might need light, but I don't know if I can suspend this. I'll put the flashlight here for now. I'd like to be able to have that light on. And I see my battery's dying, so I may have to turn this off and put in a new battery. But anyways, let's get started. I am wearing my optivisor because I have old eyes. Now this is supposed to be 1K. So here is a 1K according to this. So let's take this out. There's the old one. And you see it stands up. Now it can lie down. It has these little posts to lie down if I wanted to, but this is really standing up. And you would turn the radius here, the resistance right there. There's the return there. Okay. The new one, if all works out okay, is here. These are the new ones. And they're each 1K. And very hard to open. And I will try to figure out a better setup for the camera sometime, folks. I do want to set that up properly. Now this goes right here on the board. And I believe it would go like this. Yeah, you can see the pin layout. If you happen to have this, Eve, I think his name is, who does these boards, did some good thinking. He did some good planning. He was very thoughtful putting them together. And I appreciate this deeply. Because that would go right there and sit there. I think that is good. I don't see any problems with that. So I will bend the pins down so it doesn't fall out. So that one's in place right there. It's a little crooked, a little off the board. Ooh, and that resistor's coming up, and that resistor's coming up. And now I will proceed to replace the 100K. I do not have a 50K yet. Gotta get that. Put these back. And now the 50K, which is these ones right here. These are off of Amazon. Canada's Amazon anyways, Amazon.ca. And these are number 104s. And I have been wanting to get to this board for a couple of years now, to be honest with you. But when you have a family, other things happen, and houses need repair, and such is life. I'll put that there. Put the old one again, same as the previous one, there. And I will wire this up. I suspect it goes like this. No, perhaps not. Yes. That looks about correct. Now my goal is to build a very small, fully functional 1970s style synthesizer. I've already got my VCO, voltage controlled oscillator, built, and it works pretty well. Now that I have my proper scope, I am planning to see if I can tune it better, because it is not tuned well. And I have a guitar amplifier by PV that is not working great. It works, but it crackles a lot, and I'd like to fix that and then run the synthesizer through it if that's possible. And that would be a nice thing to do. Now let's get these out of the way, clean up our workspace, and then look at what else needs to be put on. Now I do have my capacitors, but I have misplaced a bunch of them. I do not know where they went. But I do have I apologize for this. I may stop the camera and look for my capacitor that I had a minute ago. I had them a minute ago. Did I put them in here? Because that would be smart. Yes, I did. Oh, there you go. I was being smart for a minute. Okay. This is my capacitor. These are very sensitive capacitors. If you put them in wrong, they do not forgive you. This capacitor goes, if you can see it on the board, right here. Here, let me tilt the camera forward. It goes right here. One of these two. So I'm going to look up and see which one of these two this capacitor is, and then I will put that in there. Okay. Pardon me. Well, as it so happens, these go in both. That's interesting. These are polarized caps, and these particular caps, if they are put in backwards don't forgive you, ever. They die. So it's good to get a lot of them. And then have patience, because it's easy to put those in wrong. I've done it once or twice. So finding the polarity is very good. And being able to read it is also good. And if you look at the capacitor, you'll see there's a bulge on one side. It goes up, around, and then comes out here. That bulge usually means positive, so that's the positive rail. And these are 104s. I can't really read that. That is really hard to read. And to be sure that I got the right ones, I'm going to use my multimeter carefully, because again, if you do it wrong, yep, these are the ones, only these ones are registering as 11.2 microfarads. So just a bit more than I need, but they will work. It's close enough. And I will slip these in. This one goes here. Now, like I've said before, every Wednesday night my family goes out and does kid stuff at the local church. So I would like to be able to spend some time doing this, or something along these lines, posting a video as often as I can on a Wednesday night. And if you'd like to join us, join me, and whomever else is watching, I would appreciate that very much. And please spread the word, pass it around. Now there they are, standing upright, right there. If you see that, that's them there. And I've got two of the correct trim pots, and I just have to get this one, which is a 47K trim pot, and I don't have that one. But that there can work if I have to. So this is here now, and I'm going to change the battery in the camera because it's really low, and I've got the spare battery right here somewhere in this mess. I'll be back. Hello, I'm back. I'm just adjusting it. I apologize, should have done that off camera. But this is not a great setup, I'm afraid. Hope you can see now. The battery is changed. Here's the old battery. I'll put that to charge tonight. So that's good progress so far. Now what else can we put in? I do have these very expensive dual transistors. Pardon me, I'm going to take a drink of water. Thank you. I could put that in. I would like to put that in last, because they're very hard to get, and they go right there. And so I would like to put that in last. But for now, what I will put in are 100 nanometer capacitors, ceramic capacitors. There's quite a lot of them, actually. Quite a number. And so I could do that tonight. Well, I found some in my stuff. These are little blue alien shaped ones. I always think they look like aliens with long legs. These are registering at 91 nanofarads. Yeah, they're about right. They aren't as precise as they could be, and I may order more accurate ones. And there's 5. So I will put these in the board and use them as placeholders, if nothing else, until I find the correct ones, until I decide to order them. These are the 5 I will use, though. So let's go back to the synthesizer and put them in. First one I'll put in goes up here. And I will add some transistors tonight, perhaps. My BC 547s, which I believe are PNP transistors. Positive, negative, positive. If I understand or remember correctly. It's been a while. Now this one goes here, I believe, and there's a diode next to it. So this one goes here. And I may get these transistors as well. They're the same type of transistor, ceramic transistors, but these ones that they're showing here are of higher quality. This one is sort of a generic-ish quality, no name. So that is a better one. And this is the diode I will put in at some point here on the page. There's a diode right there next to the capacitor, and the polarity is going that way, so this is a that diode is a fairly common one. And it is a 1N4148. Of course it is. Yes, it's a 1N4148. And I've got a lot of those in my bins. There's another one here, so let's put this there. So that is going here next to between this and these two resistors. So between the IC mount and the resistors goes this one. And it is very hard to put in. There we go. Okay. Do I have them all facing the right way? Yes. No, they're all facing the wrong way. It doesn't really matter. Aesthetically, it's just better to have them all face the same way. But these are not polarized, so it doesn't matter. Now this one's down here by the cables. I drilled these holes out of my mini drill press. And when it comes time for me to drill up my next board, which I'm really looking forward to, I will have you come along with me. It's this board here. This is the one I'd really like to work on, but it's involved. It's a big board. It is my low frequency oscillator, which he designed in 2005, which really was not that long ago for me. And this is a good thing to have in a synthesizer. It offers really low frequencies that oscillate very slowly, and you can use them as envelopes, and you can run it through here and use it to fluctuate the voltage controlled oscillator so that it would have it do a nice sound oscillation. Then I also have my ADSR, Attack Delay Sustain Release generator, which is already built and put in. I did that 2 years ago, believe it or not. I find it hard to believe that was done 2 years ago. It seems like I did it last month, but it really was 2 years ago. And I really like it. It works really well, actually. It's a very simple thing to make, which is why I made it second. Which is why I made it second. I made the hard thing first. I made the VCO first, and that one was really hard because it uses Tempco resistors and other things, and you have to mount the resistor onto the chip so that they stay the same temperature and all this stuff. And you have to use like silicone to mount it and all that. And I did, and it works, but it was way outside my comfort zone. Not familiar with that sort of thing. So, but I did it, and it works. I've played with it a few times. So this is this. I've got the capacitors in now, and next I might do the diode. The one and only diode, which will go right here in this spot right there. And I might just put that in after all. The 2SC1583. I may put it in. Not sure. That makes me nervous for some reason, because I think there's only two and I don't want to damage them. Looking through my component drawer. Whoop, did I just find them already? Yep. There we are. There's my diodes. Tiny little diodes. Boy, these are hard to read. 1, 18. I can't read this even with my optivisor. That's the diode. It's a small piece of glass. 4148. That's a 4148, which I can barely read. That is really hard to read. And that, my friends, goes in right here. See that? Goes in right there. There it is, next to the capacitor we just put in. And I got the black band on the north side, so it will not block the current going the right way, because that's what diodes do. They stop the current going that way, the way you don't want them to go in this case. And next I will try to find, see, typically when you're putting together a board, what you do is you start with the low components on the board, and that would be the resistors. They tend to be low, and that way you don't get your fingers in the way. And then you do the next higher things, and that might be something like this, you know. And then you do the next higher things, which might be a capacitor, because they stick up like a thumb. These I put in early on because they're sort of off by themselves and don't really get in the way. And these regulate voltage. Going into the circuit, this is where the power supply for the circuit will be. This is the input, runs through here and comes back out and gets all fiddled with. And so then, you know, you might put these on, even though I put them on early on and soldered them in place already. But I put in because they are landmarks to me. So what I did was I put these in as landmarks, saying, okay, these are my orientation, these big things are my orientation, and from these, because this board, as you can see, is not marked, there's no markings on it, there's only the etch on this side, but there's no markings on this side, so I'm flying blind a little bit, and so I'm trying very carefully to lay things out based on the orientation and placement of other things. So these capacitors kind of tell me where things go. Same with the diodes and so on and so forth. So I've been putting some things out of order in a good form sort of way. I mean, at the end of the day, what matters is if it works. However, it's easier if you put the low things on first and then go for the higher and higher and higher things. And these things really shouldn't go on early on because they kind of can be in the way. However, again, I use them as landmarks. So, having said all that, and the reason I said all that is because something beeped a lot, and I don't know what that was. That was weird. Don't know what that was. So the reason I said all that is because next I'm going to put in my transistors. And I love transistors. Transistors are great. And I have 3 transistors I could put in. 2 of them I don't need to put in. These 2 here I don't put in because I put in the 2SC1583. That is actually 2 transistors that are matched, and these 2 transistors that would go here need to be matched, and to match transistors is a pain, which is why I wanted to go with this. Matching transistors If one transistor is warm because you touched it with your hand and the other transistor is not warm, they won't be matched. They might actually be matched, but because you warmed one with your hand or your breath, it's going to give a different reading, and so on and so on. And my camera keeps beeping, and I don't know why. I'm hoping it's recording. Anyways, so what I'm going to do is get the transistors. I have a bunch of BC547s. That's what I'm needing right now. Specifically, it looks like I need 2. So let's get those 2, and I'll be right back. And so these are all 558s. This is a BC120, 546. I need a 547. Can I have a 547, please? .547B. I got a bunch of them there. Okay. Now, this is very special. It's a GE2N107. It's one of the first transistors commercially made. It's very large compared to today's transistors. You know, like this is a older modern transistor, and this is one that was made in, I guess, 1961, I think. And I believe the transistor was invented in 1958. And this is a very old transistor by GE. And this is here an unused 2N1499. So quite neat. I'm very pleased for those. And I've got others like that. I will show them to you at another time. These are modern cheapies made out of 39 something. I'm quite pleased to have those. They were pulled out of a radio or something, one of the early transistors, and I'm very happy to have them. So here we go, BC547. I'm going to bend the middle leg out. And I may start snipping these wires so I can actually see what I'm doing, and then start soldering before I continue on. It's getting up to be a bit of a spaghetti. Very unpleasant spaghetti. And I'm going to double check this. This is a BC547. Alright, so those 2 transistors go in like that, and those are the 2 I need. I don't need any more. And like I just said, I'm going to probably end up snipping off a lot of these wires and doing some soldering before I continue. And I'll do that next week, and maybe you can come along with me. We will stop this for now. We're getting close to wrapping up this board, and oh yeah, forgot about this one. This is a nice old one as well, 2N2429. A PNP, I guess. Put that in the PNP drawer. And that is my board thus far. Done well. So we've got almost all of it on. The main things we're missing now are correct capacitors for the 100N and a few odds and ends here and there, including some wire strips. and then we get to actually do the wiring. All of this wiring, whoops, I left this one out. All of this wiring gets to be done last, because, like, again, when you're doing work like this, you have to plan out how you're going to do things. And if you, for example, do all the wires first, then you're going to be fiddling with the board with wires all over it, and that really doesn't work very well for you. So what this is going to be is we may actually get this finished by next week as far as the board is concerned, and then after that all we have to do is wire it up and then calibrate it, because this board I could not make without fixing the oscilloscope first, or getting an oscilloscope first. This board is really going to be needing a 2-channel scope. That's why I needed that scope fixed, because a 1-channel scope wouldn't let me do this. So very grateful for that scope, very happy, because now I can do all the boards. There's no reason not to. So thank you for joining me this week, if you've joined, and next week we will continue on this board next Wednesday. I hope to get this video dropped on the internet tonight. Have a good evening. Thank you very much for joining.